Let us pray. Oh God, there are even more words than there are hats. Help us find just the right one, and let it be a word of peace. Amen. Amen. So, aim is important, and picking the right thing is important. Why aim for the wrong place or the wrong thing? When you're going to fly an airplane, for example, you really want to have a flight plan. You don't want to end up missing, like Malaysian 370 did. You want to start someplace, you want to aim there, and you want to land there. And I'm not one bit surprised at how popular this story about the missing airplane has become, because so many of us have a feeling that either we have been hijacked, or we might be hijacked, or we've lost our way. So I'm not going to belabor that metaphor with you today in this sermon about spiritual ways to write, because it's kind of too painful, the self-hijacking. I want to talk about how we do it. So put another image in your mind, the image of being a pitcher. It's baseball season. It's a good thing when you're a pitcher to have good aim, and it's really good to hit home plate every now and then. You don't go out on the mound and throw the ball at third base, right? But a lot of pitchers don't have the aim that they need. Airplane pilots join pitchers, join human beings to always want to aim and sometimes to hit where we're going. And of course, writers want to do the same thing. Writers want to aim and hit. And how many of you are writers? I know there's a million of you out here. Yeah, there's so many writers in this congregation, it's scary. So I'm doing this with a little fear and trepidation, because you know what it's like to work all day and not find the right word. But I want to console us who dare to write, or dare to dress, or dare to put a hat on, with these tremendous words of solace. I won't reread them all. Thank you, Alan, for giving us about half of the passages on writing that are there for us in Scripture. But let me just repeat that one about the destination of God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was from God, and the Word was God. And God aimed creation to redemption through Jesus. That's what that passage means. Or the Habakkuk one, because when we do write it down, we do make it plain. The Habakkuk has it as an order. Go ahead and write it down to make it plain. But what we know as writers is often when we do finally write it down, we do make it plain. Those of us who earn some of our living by words, whether you write songs or brochures or essays or sign checks even, know that there's always a spiritual component to writing. And spiritual writing is just that. It's not fancy. It's just writing plus spirit. Not more and certainly not less. Spiritual writing connects the aim of your spirit, of what's left inside of you, with the outer aim of where you're going and what you want to be. You know you're trying to say to the world like God did in creation. You know what you want to say in your own creative, creating way. And you try to get it out, and it doesn't always come out the most beautiful way you want it to. So let me give a few examples. The first, of course, is the naming of the faith that we do have. We believe that God created the world as a word, using words, and aimed creation towards redemption. And right now, we're having a great exercise here at Judson. Some of you are already a part of it, and by the end of today, I hope more of you will be. You know that we're putting up scaffolding. probably the week after Easter, date uncertain, but on the scaffolding, we'd like to put some words. And that project is driving us all a little nuts. Because what words do you possibly use to introduce the scaffolding to the community? We want to make sure the public knows that we're here, still here, when the scaffolding goes up. We want to put words that say what we are doing. And boy, are we having a ball defining ourselves. Leading contenders. And by the way, you can get them all on the Google Docs, and you can also talk to me or Michael or Christine, wave your hand, or Ted Dawson, or Grace Goodman, because we are on our way to choose a very few words that will describe this place with fear and trembling. Leading contenders for the sign, are you ready? And if you want to be critical, now is not the time. In fact, usually whenever you want to criticize a preacher, it's really good to wait till Monday morning. Just as a general courtesy, it's in the book of etiquette, okay? All holds are off by Monday morning after about 10. So, Judsoning, the verb, which means innovating and fusing art, religion, and politics, or putting our good past into a glorious future, or the good old favorite standard, which you've all seen too many times, a church that is a little bit different, trying to make a big difference. Or some other contenders, vintage wine, uncorked again. Or the little church that could. Or closing down to open up. Or a living, breathing church, precariously percolating along. You get the drift. Iconic Titanic refuses to sink. Judson, the verb. Judson, renowned. Emerging again. Still crazy after all these years. Closing down to open up. There's some even better ones. I didn't give all the good ones. I really wanted to get a few good ones out there along with the ones that are hopelessly inadequate for who we are. It's not too late for you to join the writing project. Now, if that branding exercise is too much for you because you have to do it every day, consider another one. The best literature we find around here actually comes from Roland. He writes the best signs. They basically say, don't touch. Or sometimes when he's really angry, he'll have red caps, do not touch, or keep off. They express a lot of what it's like to be around here, don't they? Get out of my space. This is mine. It's not yours. In a building that is filled with different kinds of people who love to take each other's napkins and leave each other's dead pizza boxes around, Roland is a real artist. Or if you don't want to write communally with vigor or protect the sacred space of this place, go straight to the most important spiritual practice of all. It's the writing down of your personal mission statement. Write it down, make it plain. Nobody has to know it but you. But you do need to know it, or you'll end up missing in the China Sea, and everybody will be out there looking for you. Are you here to make money or to fulfill your obligations? Does the planet enjoy the presence of your breathing genome because you have come to Earth to improve it or to enjoy it, or to improve and enjoy it, or to leave a mark or give someone your word? I just had a great conversation with my 5-year-old grandson about words. He had been told in school that the most important thing he could do would be to keep his word. You know what that means, right? Keeping your word is a promise. It may be as small as it was for him, as returning the truck when your turn is up, so somebody else can play with it. But it is a promise. Some of us came to Earth to make promises, to tend and befriend something or someone else, even if it is a toy truck. In a debate I heard yesterday, words were used well, maybe some of you heard it. The question was, is Russia a marginal power? Peter Hitchens and Robert Blackwell turned a big argument into an interesting one. One said that Russia was so important in the making of sugar beets that without it there would be no borscht. That was nasty, wasn't it? A very clever use of words. The other debater said that you must not know the difference between a nuke and a sugar beet. In most of our use of words, the spirit is edged out by the coy, the clever. We have a very hard time getting our self-definitions or international definitions right. Writing of the spiritual kind is hard because being clever often does not lead to peace. And their definition of real power might be applicable to our words. It's the power to make a positive impact, the power to disrupt. There is a crucialness to power. You know you're a power by whether or not other people understand you and respect you. You know you're a power by what other people get away saying to you, whether other people want to copy you or emigrate to you, or by click testing. If you write something, how many people click on it? Did they read it, or share it, or like it, or comment on it? Spiritual writing and reading is about peace. It's about power. It's also about comprehension as well as positioning. It's whether the truth of what is being said or not being said is sinking into the soul someplace. Lots of people know what good writing is, like the scriptures we just heard. We know what we like, we say, about art. Or the other cliche, I'll know it when I see it. People may not remember much of what fuzzy things you said, but they will know how they feel when they are around you. And if you are clever and coy, they won't confuse you with kindness or the Spirit. If I could tell you how to write down your words, to make them plain, I would, but I can't. It's more like finding your hat, the one you're supposed to be wearing at that time, while you're also aware of how many words there are in the universe. All I want to do is to urge you to leave the land of the great unexpressed or undigested life and urge you to give your life to something. My nephew Chris stopped thinking about his words. He's the kind of guy who doesn't really get his words always right, but he knew that something was happening, and so he made up a word. He says, "Why is everybody so judgy today?" It's good writing. Eat, Love, and Pray author Elizabeth Gilbert said that after her second novel failed, all she had to do was find something to love more than she loved her success, and she knew she'd be fine. Spiritual writing is not just about success or having lots of clicks or lots of readers. It's about writing, which cannot be overdone, because otherwise you become the prisoner of your own flight pattern or your pitching training. Sometimes you just get to go where the words take you and surprise yourself. You can also very easily over-edit. Susan Lewis, an art historian, said that she had target panic. She studies archery. She went on to say that the secret to personal mastery and personal writing is to learn to love an almost hit or a near win. The longer we try to become perfect as writers or people, the longer we will endure target panic and refuse to enjoy what the archer does enjoy, which is getting close to where we want it to be. Her quote, "Converting success into mastery is learning to appreciate the almost win." You see, there is no problem in the world that you can't make worse, including trying too hard to get it right. There is nothing so perfect as imperfectionism. Also, there's nothing so good as an existential crisis to help you find your words and keep your word to find your words. One of you said this week, I quote, "I feel like a beggar in a cell, banging my tin cup against the bars." You could hear what a good choice of words that was. Another said, "I am just a ship in a bottle. I can't get out of here. And I have lasted longer than any LED battery should." A third wished for the time when sanctuary, the word sanctuary, after 2 million people have been deported, when that word could return to meaning a dusty old place with pews. Many of us will travel the land from Psalm to Twitter and back this week. You will find your way to distinguish the read from the unread, the heard from the unheard, and the urgent from the important. You will write another good letter beginning with those great words, "To whom it may concern," if in fact there is anybody who concerns this at all. Or perhaps you will keep your Lent by spending a day saying nothing that doesn't need to be said at all. That's writing too. Your own spiritual practice of writing may be to stay quiet as a way to clear. What is most important is the clearing. There you hold tight gently to what matters to you. And there is nothing more beautiful than a blank sheet of paper, or more scary than a lost airplane. And if all your other words fail and you have none of your own, you can always sing that great hymn again. Beautiful words, wonderful words of life, and the one that's coming, come my way, my truth, my life. Amen.